What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trading Decoded, and it is April 9th, 2024. What a morning. The title of this video today was Opposite Day. And the reason I say that is because, well, we got exactly the opposite time-wise of what I expected today to be, which makes me happy because that gave us the move that I was anticipating earlier in the day versus later in the day. But that was to the downside. And then we ran right back up and basically almost closed where we closed yesterday, which is awesome. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and launch a chart, take a look at what we got going on here. As per usual, we had our pre-market low zone today. Nearing the open, we got above that zone, closed above the pink line, closed above our first target high. Now, I wasn't interested in calls at the open today simply because we're too close to the high of day. I don't like to play the high of day. I don't like to play the low of day. So I'm not going to aggressively do it. But well, first of all, before we even get into that, we got our targets high, our targets low, all the things, right? But I also want to show you guys, because I post this at 8:30 every morning, 9 o'clock, sorry. My thought on the day was that right here, we're expecting a 1.981 dollar move today. I'm sure we'll see that and maybe more. I think today may be interesting, especially towards the end of the day. We may see some decent selling off into the close due to the information being reported tomorrow. Just a thought, so watch out for that. Okay, so this is why I'm saying opposite day. Not opposite in doing what we thought it would do, but opposite at the time I thought it was going to do it. With that said, we were pretty strong into the open. I said that if I was going to buy calls, what I'd prefer to do is wait for a pullback to the futures line, which is this teal line right here. Make sure Qs were on a support line, which they were, and we'd be looking to take profits around 520.50. Okay, so here's your entry point. Here's your exit point. Winning trade. I did not take that trade because it was too close to the high day, too close to the pink line. I'm just sharing the technicals. Okay, trusting support that had been proven in pre-market to be pretty strong, proven to be pretty strong here in the Qs. If you're going to play calls, respect the resistance that we made in pre-market, respect the resistance that the Qs made. You take the trade. Okay, I did not. I gave all the reasons as to why I'm not. I gave all the reasons to where I would. I just didn't execute that particular trade. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I started to tell people here, guys, I'm more interested in puts. I just need the right reason to take them. Well, let's see what that reason may be, because we got it, and boy, did we get it. Number one, we were coming off of a lower high. Okay, so in that moment, I have people undoubtedly asking me, Jimmy, where would you buy a pullback if you were looking for calls? Well, it would be this blue line or the teal line, except for the fact that we were coming off of a lower high. Guys, we talk about this all day, every day. If I am interested in buying calls, I will not be buying those calls on support if we were coming off of a lower high. That is one of my rules. You should consider implementing it as one of yours. It's not that the support can't hold. It's just that it's showing us that the sellers are becoming stronger. The pressure building on that line is getting higher. You understand? I'm not saying that you can't trust that support. I'm saying that I trust it a lot less when we're coming off of a lower high. Likewise, if I'm buying a pullback that's coming off of a higher low, I'm less likely to trust that resistance that it's pulling back to, because the buyers are getting stronger, right? It doesn't work all the time. It works most of the time. And therefore, I'm playing probabilities, not what I don't know. I don't know if the line's definitely going to hold or not. If I did, I would take every trade off support that I knew was going to hold. But I do know that if the sellers are getting stronger, the buyers may not be able to hold that weight anymore. So I choose not to trust the support. That's all. We close below the support here. Now there's something major and very important happening that allows us to take this put more aggressively than waiting for the put line, which, by the way, is right here at 519.49. And what is that? So number one, we were sitting up here on the Qs, okay? Sitting up here on the Qs, we needed this to break through this support. That was the trigger for the trade. But what gave us the reason to consider puts earlier than the put line is right here. I'll show it to you because it was screaming at us. You see this? You see this move on ADD? Yes, this was the market taking profits. This was the market taking profits. I said, guys, ADD is doing its job right now. All we need is Qs to get below this support, and then Qs has room to go. We were talking about how we'd like to see Qs make it down to 441.97. As long as they stay below the resistance or the support that it had up here, turns it into resistance, you stay in this trade. Okay? So we agreed, or at least I agreed and shared with the community that I'm getting into puts now for the reasons I just explained to you. Where am I looking to go? Well, I'm looking for the Qs to get down to at least this level of support, understanding that if it breaks that, the odds of it moving down to the next support are pretty good. But right here is the next support. That's why we stopped here for a little while, okay? We got into these puts. We started to make our money to the downside. We got a breach of the put line. You could have got in here. You played it to the next line. Now the Qs at this time had reached this support. I took myself out of the trade. It was a 74% win. We had a bunch of people one and done here. Okay. I waited for all the right reasons to take the put. Now, when you look at the rest of that move, those contracts went from, I don't know, 700-ish, 800-ish dollars all the way down to $5,300 by the end of that move. I only caught it to here. And truthfully, I wouldn't have held through this consolidation anyway. I don't like holding through chop. So I would have gotten out if I tried to hold longer some point during this move sideways. So I don't feel like I left too much money on the table until after the fact when we see what ultimately happened, okay? But we did have some people hold their trades through that and caught a bigger portion of this move, okay? I just wasn't one of them. That was a one and done trade for me. It was a one and done trade for a lot of people. And at this time, we had a 10-to-1 win to loss ratio. Now, I think we ended up closing the day in our community somewhere around 4-to-1, green to red, 5-to-1, somewhere in there, which is a very good day, all things considered. But this sell-off didn't last forever, right? We ended up getting all the way down. Now, all these circles are either us hitting lines that we should consider taking profits, whether it's SPY lines or Qs hitting support levels, until we got all the way down to the last support that ultimately held, right? We didn't make it any lower. Wasn't in a hurry to buy calls. So everybody's asking me, Jimmy, when would you buy puts? Well, we're putting in higher lows and higher highs, so I wouldn't buy puts. Well, when would you be interested in calls? I said, well, after a drop like this, I want to make sure that the buyers are definitely serious here. So I wouldn't be interested in calls unless we can get above 517.06. Okay. Now, it took a while to get above 517.06, but we got that all the way over here at 12 o'clock. Now, if you're going to take these calls, guys, where are we looking for? Well, the next resistance high is this split candle at 517.59. Easy enough to consider, easy enough to think about. Uptrend, you're buying at a break of resistance. The first move that we have with the potential move for at least 20 cents is from here to there. Okay, simple. No, I didn't catch this whole move. No, I didn't even catch most of that move. But what I did do was waited for the odds, or at least for me to be comfortable enough to consider taking a trade after a move to the downside that big. All right, I need to be convinced that it's the right time. Down here, trying to catch a falling anvil is not the right time for me. Might be the right time for you, and if it is, take the trade. You made more money than I did. Congratulations. Okay? But I want to know that the buyers are taking out sellers. Well, this is the line that I felt comfortable about that. Now, if we took that trade, where was our stop loss? I made it abundantly clear. Guys, if we close below 516.81, you got to take yourself out of the trade. We tested that line of support as we had several times. We held it. We ran up to our next resistance. Okay? Simple. Nice trade. Paid. Then we started to get into a time of the chart where volatility wasn't very good. We were bouncing between some support resistance levels, but chop. Okay, this was crap. This is when the red trades started to stack up. I want to show you guys VWAP. Look at it. I could almost draw exactly a horizontal line on that. And you could see that it held that line pretty good. Guys, if VWAP is moving due east, it's not worth trading. Here, and I'll turn this on. You see all these green and red arrows? Okay, let me turn this off. And all these. Okay, this is not a good sign. When you're seeing all these arrows up and down like this, it's not a good sign. That's just indicating that the market doesn't know where it wants to go. You want to see spread out. You want to see spread out, not multiples in a row like this, okay? You got to be able to spot a chart that's not worth trading. Now, I know somebody out there is going to say, well, Jimmy, look, there's all kinds of reasons to take trades in this chart. And you know what? Good for you. Take them. I'm not trying to teach people how to be super aggressive, how to trade a chart that's inherently moving sideways. Okay? Especially when the volatility has dropped off. Yes, these moves could have paid you some money, but they were very not consistent. Sometimes we'd make it a little higher past resistance. Sometimes we wouldn't make it all the way down to support. Yes, theta does ramp up. Yes, we're putting in lower highs, lower lows. Yes, we're breaking some supports, but every time we seemingly got a little lower, we'd be bought right back up. There was no confidence for me to help people get into some of these trades, right? However, there is one late day trade that we talked about that ended up giving you over $1 move in just a couple of minutes. Where does that trade come from? Well, let's talk about it. Number one, we were talking about it way before. Guys, if Qs can break 440.82, she's going to have a long move ahead of her. Why? Because the next resistance, although we didn't get there all the way, is all the way here. Okay? At 442.20. 442.20. We're going to put a line there so we can have a visual reference. Guys, if Qs get above this resistance, which would be the first time that they've done so prior to getting below it earlier, the next resistance up is this yellow line. That's a decent move. Well, where is the line of entry? Right here. 328. Where do we go? We fell, admittedly, about 20 cents shy of that level. But either way, it made it to a line. It made it to a 1 line, 2 line. It just didn't make it to the next resistance. At this time, SPY had closed over the pink line, which I don't like to mess with the pink line. We broke, we retested. There's your go. First target, if you got in, at this time was from 89 to 37. That's a pretty commendable move. And if you held longer, because the Qs were still trying to move up, we were trying to aim for this yellow line. You got a full, almost $1.50 move on that trade. In what, 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes? That's a payday, guys. Oh, but Jimmy, look at all that move you missed to the upside. I don't trade this late in the day, and if I'm gonna, I better know that there's potential for room to move. Okay? I'm looking for potential room to move. I would have to hold through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 levels of resistance just to take part of this move. That goes against everything that I use to trade, guys. I don't feel comfortable ignoring lines of support and resistance. They pay me. That's what makes me a living. So why should I respect them in the morning and then ignore them late in the day? This is why I don't trade late in the day. I don't take this trade. I didn't take this trade. But it was the first point that we would have been clear of enough resistance with the potential to move higher before we hit the next one. Okay, this is all we're trying to do. We're trying to find the right reasons to take trades that provide us a cleaner opportunity. That's it. Okay, so there wasn't a whole lot of trade opportunities as far as my recommendations or suggestions or talked about trades. We had 1 to the upside, 2 to the downside, 1 being a little bit more aggressive, 1 more conservative. with a ton of opportunity there. We had this guy here. That was the fourth trade, and you had the fifth one. Okay. Now, if you were patient and you took only those trades, well, you made a lot of money today. Okay. And you did so not catching the majority of any one of these moves, but catching good portions of much bigger moves, right? We're just waiting for probabilities. Just waiting for probabilities. You're stacking odds in your favor. That's all you're doing. So congratulations to those of you who made good money today. Congratulations whose work day was over 20 minutes after it started. Okay, those who took these puts early. Yes, I cannot see the future, and so I did not anticipate a move like this. Again, I was waiting for this move later in the day, or expecting this later in the day. I wouldn't have traded it later in the day. So I'm glad it happened this morning. Gave a lot of people of opportunities to get out of the market earlier. We have a lot of new faces in there. So for the new folks in the community, I hope you found some useful information in what we talked about today. And for those of you who are watching this video, I also hope you found some useful information in this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. If you'd like to join our Discord community, well, there's a link down below. We'd love to have you. If you like what you get for the 7 days of free trial time while you're here, maybe consider becoming a paying member. It's a good time in there. Okay. We're surrounded by good, like-minded traders, and they're all here for the right reasons, which is to learn how to trade, not how to learn how to follow. Okay. We're not here to copy people's trades, because as long as they're not your trades, you're never going to be comfortable managing those trades properly. It's as simple as that. And that's pretty much it. So tomorrow's going to be a big day. Tomorrow's going to be a lot of movement in pre-market, and it's going to hurt a lot of people, and it's going to make a lot of people's day. With that being said, I will warn you with this. Tomorrow's contracts are going to be expensive because volatility is going to be high. If you know that the cost of your trades affects your ability to causes hesitation, or it affects you in a negative way, or it scares you out of your trades too soon, or it makes you hold your losers too long, tomorrow may not be the day for you, okay? Because naturally, a lot of people want to move their strikes farther out of the money to make it cheaper for them so they feel more comfortable, but then you're losing the delta, all right? The delta is what you really need, or you should want, on your side, because that allows you to take advantage of smaller moves while making better money. Now, there is tons of reasons that people play farther out of the money, because if you play farther out of the money, it's cheaper, and when they get in the money, they gain a lot of value. So to each their own. I'm not going to get into that because that's not how I personally trade. But, well, that's right, I don't trade at all. But at any rate, guys, take some of what I'm telling you, apply it, see if it helps, see if it makes your trading any better, see if it gives you a little bit more comfort, see if it tries to remove some of the hesitation, see if it can help you stay in your trades a little longer. But the most important part of any trade is protecting yourself in the event that the probabilities do not work in your favor. And the only way you could do that is by having a logical and reasonable stop loss. Get out of the trade when it no longer is working for you. Okay, and if you're in a good winning trade, you don't have to get out when you touch these lines, but you should trail your stops so that you could take advantage of more of the move if it's there to take advantage of. All right, so with that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. Till tomorrow, I love you. See ya.